Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew again. I have a quick video for you to show off a couple of minor techniques I've run into. I just got done watching a very excellent tutorial by the great Sakku's Mind about making convincing wood grain. I had a few things to add and left those ideas in the comments of that video, but I figured why not let everyone know. So here I have a version of the wood plank you might end up with after following Sakku's Mind's tutorial. Not only does it look great, but it's an easy and quick technique. I advise you to check that out in the link above. Using this technique, we achieve wood grain through a combination of looseness, fleck type, fleck combing, and interior color. This technique utilizes style mode to apply the expressive fleck. But something I've recently discovered and I don't think many people know about is that a sculpt can have more than one fleck type. In fact, it can use a lot more. In the next few moments, I will give this sculpture 8 different simultaneous fleck types. This seems to be the maximum. We started with expressive, I just added straight, and now hatching. Those 3 aren't that different, but if you look close, you can make out all 3. To be a little clearer, let's use some that are fairly different, like square. And let's follow that up with circle, triangle, and hexagon. That gives us 6. We need to add 2 more, so let's try streaky because it's fairly different. And that's in there for 7. One last one, how about cubist? Successfully added, and you will notice there is a small amount of expressive in there. I tried to add more unsuccessfully, so as I said before, it looks like the limit is 8. What's the point of that, Lucid? Why do I need that? To be honest, I'm not sure yet what you might do with 8 different fleck types, but 2 contrasting ones could be very interesting. In this case, we're going to take one fleck type that works well for wood grain and add a second for a little variation. So we started with expressive like in Sakku's Mind's tutorial, and I'm adding straight fleck type to it because that is the fleck type I'm going to use for what I'm about to show you next. We're going to assume a little more control over the wood grain by painting an overlay onto the surface of this sculpt. So we're in paint mode, and I'm going to create a color which is similar to the darkest parts of the interior of the sculpt. I'm going to stamp these flecks because I want to choose them somewhat carefully, and I'm going to use the straight fleck type because it's good for wood grain. To lay them down initially, we're going to use snap to surface, and then we'll adjust them freehand later. Each fleck type is a collection of 8 slightly different splotches, and not every splotch in a fleck type will work for the same purpose. In this case, about half of the straight fleck type splotches don't work very well, so we'll set them aside. This one works fine. I'm scaling it up to cover the surface laterally and stamping onto the surface. I'll repeat this process all the way down the sculpt with the splotches that I think will work for wood grain and set the others aside. After I place the last one, I go back and delete all the flecks I set aside. Then I'll go back through the good ones with snap to surface off, and I'll adjust them freehand with the goal of pushing them into the sculpt a little bit so they look more integrated as wood grain. This will take a little while, but you really need to go through this step in order for it to turn out right. If you want, you can add little extra details like a knot. I'm doing this with a few circle flecks and then breaking it up slightly at the end with a streaky fleck. After that, we'll go into the painting menu and adjust the opacity until it blends in with the sculpt to our satisfaction. In this case, I have the opacity at 57%. And here they are side by side. I think both look great. This is not a matter of, hey, look how I can make this better. This is showing you a couple of things you can do that can apply to a variety of things you might make. One advantage the overlay does have is that the fleck detail will disappear at a much shorter distance than the painting, so you retain that wood grain look from a longer distance. So next time you're making something, give a little thought to multiple fleck types and painting overlays. That's all for this time. I'll see ya in the Dreamiverse.